Hello, friends, and welcome to this edition of Syracuse Sports, presented by Crouse Health, the official healthcare partner for SU Athletics. Now, I know the title of this show is Syracuse Sports, but Emily and I are going to spend a lot of time in the Garden State today. My machine, she's a dud, out stuck in the mud, somewhere in the swamps of Jersey. New Jersey has taken on a real personality on the Syracuse football team, Camden, New Jersey specifically, but all over the state, from the head coach on down, and a number of key players. So we're going to have some fun. We talked to the Jersey guys. We asked some of their favorite things about New Jersey, the influence New Jersey is having on recruiting, on this roster. Emily and I are going to have a little fun at the end of the pod and give you our 5 favorite things to come out of New Jersey, and it's just Jim Tan laundry all the way, all about Jersey, baby. So, Emily, I would like to welcome you into this New Jersey edition of the podcast. Do you have a lot of experience in the Garden State? Do you have any favorite memories of the Garden State? When I say New Jersey, what do you think of?
Well, I don't want to spoil my top 5 because that's kind of getting into top 5 territory.
Good point.
I mean, being from the West Coast, I didn't know a lot about New Jersey until going to college in Missouri, which is also not very close to New Jersey. But I have 2 really close friends who are from New Jersey. One who's from North Jersey, Teaneck. I'll say town names because I figure people who are listening will know these places. Teaneck, New Jersey, and then one from South Jersey who's from Cherry Hill, which is actually pretty close to Camden. I went out to Jersey for the first time summer 2022. That first summer I was here in Syracuse, I drove down and visited my friend who lives down in the South, and we went down the shore and did a bunch of stuff and tried some water ice, tried some good bagels, tried some hoagies, which we might talk about later. But I don't have any complaints about Jersey. Besides, I still find it weird when I drive down there that they don't pump their own gas.
Maybe appearing later in this podcast as well. So there you go. The Jersey flavor today. Before we get to that, though, Emily's got a great notebook coming out on syracuse.com on Friday that's going to kind of encapsulate everything we've seen. I can't believe it's already been a couple of weeks of Syracuse spring practice. We were already here doing our 4th podcast on spring ball. There's been 5 practices, and we're really kind of getting into a rhythm here. And one thing that I know you're going to write about, Emily, I'm going to play the clip here. There was a funny moment we had today. We were talking to Jackson Meeks, who's a transfer wide receiver from Georgia. And you've written about this. We've talked about it on the pod. This team is just noticeably bigger. The strength and conditioning program they're putting in, you just see the results on the field. A number of guys we've talked to have talked about they put on 8, 10, 12 pounds, how hard the weight room sessions have been. So I asked Jackson Meeks, who, mind you, comes from the standard program in college football now, the defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs.
Not this year.
Not this year.
Not this year. Not defending this year, to be clear. That's year. Michigan.
Michigan, I'm going to hear from the Michigan fans now. But, the Georgia Bulldogs, I meant to say 2-time national champions. When Jackson was there as a player. So you talk about a guy who has seen what it takes to win a national championship, right? So I asked him to compare the training program there to the one here. And here's what he said.
Would you believe me if I say it was harder up here?
No, but you said you're saying it.
Man, Coach Smith, Coach JB, Coach Nick, Coach Stacks, they're doing a great job up here, man. Like, I was in the Georgia conditioning program for 3 years, and when I came up here, I was, of course I had the thoughts that, okay, it's not going to be Georgia, it's not going to be that hard, but I got smacked in the face first workout. I was breathing hard, I was sweating. I'm like, dang, okay. I see how we come. We really trying to hold the standard and, get better. So, they're bringing a great culture up here, and, everything starts in the weight room. So that's how you prevent injuries. That's how you prevent, bad stuff from happening on the field with your muscles and with your bones. Just everything is getting stronger. So they're doing a great job in helping us get stronger and helping us cut fat.
By the way, Dan Villari, I'll say it right this time, coming from a program that is the defending national champion, he was at Michigan for 2 years, said the same thing, that this program is on level of what Michigan was doing, if not harder, in the training program. So, that's got to be an encouraging thing to hear if you're a Syracuse fan, and just how much these guys are really putting in the work and in the weight room and now carrying it onto the field in spring ball.
Well, and one thing fans will also appreciate hearing is we talked to Trebor Pena today, and one of the things that he said he appreciated most with this new strength and conditioning regime and the changes he's seen from the past few years to this one was the stretching and the way they warm up before doing these things to make sure that they're preventing injuries. I mean, we all know how big of a problem injuries have been for Syracuse these past few years. And to hear that that was like such a stark change, that a guy who did spend all of last year injured and unable to play, like that's something that he felt was noticeably different. Like you just kind of wonder, like, what was going on in the old strength and conditioning program? Like, was that not an emphasis, and how was that? I mean, obviously we don't really know. But that stood out to me as well, that he said that was a big change for him in that program.
Absolutely. So more to come in Emily's notebook. Make sure you guys check that out on syracuse.com. All right, Emily, like Tony Soprano, let us hop on the Garden State Parkway here. You don't get to throw your tolls into the little basket anymore. I miss that. Everybody's got Easy Pass now. You just got to drive through. But let's hop on the Garden State Parkway and talk some New Jersey here. So I have my list here, and it is stunning how many guys I'm going to say that play big roles on this football team. Like this basically, and I don't want to give it away, Trebor Pena, speaking of him, had a really nice quote about this, but how Syracuse has basically gone into Jersey and swiped the title of New Jersey State team away from Rutgers here. It starts with Deuce Chestnut. Comes to Syracuse, transfers to LSU, comes back to Syracuse, and he said it the other day when we talked to him, Emily, he came back here because of Fran Brown, because of that connection, having known him before when Fran was coaching at Jersey, the Camden connection, the whole thing. That's essentially, surely comfort level and playing time and other things factor in, but Deuce Chestnut comes back because he's familiar with not only the program, but the coach.
Yeah. And, I have a story coming on Deuce too. So like, I don't want to get too much into that and give it away so you guys don't read it. But he pretty much told us that he would have stayed at LSU if it hadn't been for Fran coming back up here. It's like Fran is the reason, and he's the reason for a lot of these guys. One of the things that's coming in the notebook is kind of along the same lines, is that this was an obvious choice for a lot of people because of the connections they have with Fran, and whether that be connections that they built at other schools he's been at, but mostly that they built in New Jersey, knowing him around. And it's not even just people in South Jersey and in Camden. Like we'll get to Trebor. Like Trebor Pena was like, yeah, he was recruiting me when he was at Temple, and I knew him that way. And so it is all about these relationships, and all of these relationships tie back to Jersey for him. And I think Deuce is probably like the pinnacle of that, it seems, at this moment, of guys who came here solely because of that relationship, or relationships in general, because obviously he has a lot of teammates here that are also from Jersey. There's the whole Elijah Clark connection, who will probably be one of the next people we talk about in this order.
For sure.
But yeah, that was a big deal.
You have two number ones now at Syracuse, both from New Jersey. Jayden Bellamy, the Notre Dame transfer, who has made an impact in the cornerback room. And, of course, LaQuinn Allen, who's the lead running back. But, when I talk about LaQuinn Allen now, Emily, I've got to include Yassine Willis, who is from New Jersey. He is a 4-star recruit who got in early, a Newark guy. You're going to have a New Jersey connection in that backfield. LaQuinn, as we've noted, has gotten noticeably bigger this year. Carried the team at the end of last year, along with Dan Villari and a few other guys who deserve some shout-outs there. This running back room, coached by Jeff Nixon, who focused on running backs with the New York Giants and had Saquon Barkley there, had previously coached Christian McCaffrey with the Carolina Panthers. I know everybody's excited about Kyle McCord and what this offense can do throwing the football, but I am really struck by how they're going to power run the football too. And my obsession with Yassine Willis at this point. I was watching the running backs closely today. When he was hitting the bag, it reminded me of Rocky IV, when they're just throwing in all these tomato cans for Ivan Drago to beat the hell out of. Like, I felt bad for the guys that had to hold that bag, because I thought Willis was just going to knock him over. I mean, this guy has power. He's going to get on the field. And both running backs, you have the veteran returning guy and LaQuinn Allen, who has taken on such a big role with this team. But the youngster is going to be out there pushing for time.
Yeah, and we did see all three of them, Allen, Willis, and then Juwan Price, go in and hidden bags after practice too, and it's echoing through the whole facility as we're standing there talking to people because of how loud they're hitting it. Allen was one of those guys, and maybe we're going to hear this full quote later, but talked about how, like, just the fact that there's so many guys on this team that are from the same state, but also the same region of that state and the same area. It's just, they talk the same, they have the same interests, they know the same people. Like, they are just so interconnected. And that's, I think I talked about this the other day. It's just that is why I think all of this is going so easy in terms of bringing in so many new faces and changing schemes and stuff like that, is because everyone is on the same page, like in terms of like their backstory, or is on similar pages at least. It's not like you're trying to bring together two guys from Washington and one from Colorado and one from Michigan and all over the place. And like, obviously, yes, there are a lot of different backgrounds on a football team, but having this core, and like you said, this core of people who are very important to what this team's identity is going to be this year, and who are going to be the playmakers we repeatedly hear from. It's like a superpower, pretty much.
We're having some fun with this, but it actually might be the answer to the question. What bonds this team together? How does a team with so many new faces come together quickly? The answer might be New Jersey, and how, because when you're somewhere new, you start to look for common bonds, right? That's the common bond that has brought so many of the names together. And I'm going to go through more here. We mentioned Trebor Pena, of course. I want to play a clip here from Trebor on what makes New Jersey stand out.
Rutgers is obviously the New Jersey team for college sports, but I think we're turning that into the New Jersey team here. So it's good having all the Jersey guys here, and I'm just excited for what we do in the future.
It's funny that Jayden Bellamy the other day, when I asked him about Jersey, Emily, he said, to go back to him for a second, he said, I didn't want to go to Rutgers. Coach Fran was there. I liked Coach Fran, but Rutgers, he knew, having been from Jersey, that it wasn't right for him. Coach Fran ends up here. He transfers in last year. New coach comes in. Oh, hey, I know you. Here's Jayden Bellamy on the Jersey connection. Everyone from Jersey here, I know. Because, with the high school, you get to see everybody. So, we always had that. We didn't know each other, but we all had that connection. Once when I came here, it was real easy to get to bond with, Cinco, Denis, LeQuint. So it was really just all easy when I came here. There you have it. And, I know you talked to Denis, and we've got a fun quote from him coming up here shortly. But another famous Jersey guy, Camden guy, Emily, is Cinco, Elijah Clark, who from the minute it feels like he walked on campus was not only one of the best players on defense, but is somebody that a lot of players gravitate to anyway, no matter where he's from.
Again, and he's the start of this. Deuce is, I would say, really like of this modern era of Camden Connection, right? Because it dates back pre this era, but this revitalization of this connection to Camden specifically, but also New Jersey as a whole, it was Deuce was in here, and then Cinco came to join him, and that was a big storyline that year. I know when they were together, that 2022 year, was here are two guys that are like pretty much best friends that have come to play together, and now you've quadrupled that. And yeah, Cinco, I think he already had like a breakout year last year, I would argue, but like I think he's gonna be really big time this year. Like I think we'll be surprised by how much playmaking he does. We talked about that photo of his body and how much he's bulked up and like muscled up. Like he's gonna be a big deal this year. And I think by the time we're like talking about NFL draft conversations and stuff like that next year, like I think he'll have a solid spot in that.
I'm starting to mistake all these. So a lot of these guys are posting like before and after photos. I'm starting to mistake them for like those ads you get on social media for like weight loss pills or something.
Right.
But there's Syracuse football players saying, the arm muscle emoji. Look at me putting on the pounds. Right. And they are, as we played the clip from Jackson Meeks earlier about the training program. I caught up with James Hurd, transfer into Syracuse, another Jersey guy. And here's what he said.
Basically just to go out and put on for where we come from, Camden, New Jersey. That's mainly it. Just go out there and show what I'm about, show how talented it is coming from the city.
And one more here from James Hurd.
It's pretty much all love. I played at Camden High my senior year with a couple of guys here and a couple of guys actually enrolling in May. And also it's a lot of alumni that played on the older Camden team that's here as well. So it's kind of just all like everybody know each other, everybody picks each other up, know what it's like coming from where we come from and just trying to move forward.
New guy in a room. We talked about him on the linebacker show we did, trying to kind of work his way into the rotation, which is pretty much Marlowe Wax and Derek McDonald, but could be an instant impact guy. Another player that wears the number 6, Emily, the new quarterback, Kyle McCord, Mount Laurel, New Jersey. I mean, you can't get more Jersey than his dad was the quarterback at Rutgers. Grew up in that area. What has Fran Brown said about Kyle McCord? I want you to play and be the kid I saw in Little League. Go out there and dominate and never lose. And look, the quarterback's got to set the standard anyway, transfer or not. This has helped Kyle McCord hit the ground running and get familiar with his teammates because so many, and a lot of these guys we're talking about, by the way, are on defense, but it's notable that the leader of the team and the biggest name on the team and the biggest transfer they brought in also has strong Jersey connections.
Right. And surely that is no coincidence. Like, there were plenty of quarterbacks in the portal. There always are. And Kyle McCord was the guy that Fran went after. And whether that's just because he knew him already or if he was purposefully building it for, like, this guy is going to lead the team that's full of these Jersey kids. Like, it's just obvious. One thing I wanted to bring up, a note from practice today that stood out. I mean, it's not anything too special, but we were watching the quarterbacks for a couple minutes because they were the only ones on the field we were close to
for
and
a point of practice, right?
Right, for a very small point of practice. And one, they were catching for each other, and you could tell how cold their hands were and the balls were because all of them kept going, oh, every time they caught the ball. But at one point, Kyle dropped one. I don't remember which of the other quarterbacks the pass came from, and it rolled like all the way back behind him, and a staffer was going to grab it, and Campanelli's like, no, Kyle, just come back over here. And Kyle trotted over, and he picked up the ball himself, and he ran it back over to the drill. And so that's just kind of like one of those examples, I guess, of the type of guy he is, it seems.
No special treatment for QB1, that's for sure.
Right.
Fadil Diggs, East Camden. Might have my favorite Jersey quote here, though. I think another one's going to give him a run for his money, but this one's pretty good.
For me, the beach, because the beach. So I wasn't able to go to the beach when I was in Texas because they don't really have that many beaches. So the first chance I got, I went to the beach.
There's a lot of great beaches in this country. Okay, you go to Florida, Delaware, Rehoboth Beach, not New Jersey. We're talking about Jersey, North Carolina, the Outer Banks, California. You're from the West Coast, Emily. I'm sure you know a lot of great beaches. There's something about the Jersey Shore, man. There's something about the board. Maybe it's because I'm a Springsteen fan. I've been to the boardwalk. This will come up later in the show, but I have a lot of family from New Jersey, and spending many summers there. I don't know. It's just maybe it's because I'm Italian and I'm with my people there, and but that boardwalk and the Jersey Shore, there's nothing like it, man. There's nothing like it.
I got maybe the worst sunburn of my life at the Jersey Shore when I went a couple of summers ago. I should have sent you a picture of it so we could have used it as it was so bad. And I tell you, and it was so funny because I'm sitting there with my friend who was like, he has the complexion to not ever get burnt. And he's still putting on sunscreen, and we're both putting on sunscreen. And I'm like, I'm going to get burnt. Like, I'm going to get burnt. And he's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Like, look, you're fine. And we got in the car later, and he was like, oh my God, you're so red.
Oh, no.
And I got back, and both his parents, who have obviously lived in Jersey their whole life and have tons of shore experience, were like, oh, Emily, like, you're so burnt. And I'm like, I swear I put on sunscreen. But I would still go back. I just would wear more sunscreen next time.
Fadil missed the beach when he was at Texas, and yeah, lesson learned. Always wear that sunscreen. That's for sure. Teron Hale is a New Jersey guy, a New Jersey guy, if you will. He switched him to wide receiver. We'll see if he makes an impact this year. That's a tough room to break through in at this point, but that's a new name to look at. All right, Denis Jacquez Jr. Now, notable. His brother was visiting this week, and his dad is very active on social media. I know you guys got to connect a little bit of practice the other day. You caught up with Denis about Jersey. Let's
The
listen.
people from Jersey, man, we bring something here. And as you can see on the field, like, we're all over the place. You know, if it's not a Jersey guy making the play, you don't know where that dude's from. You just know it's a Jersey dude that's coming to make the play every time.
And then just to end with a fun one, we're kind of asking all the Jersey guys this. What's your favorite thing to come out of Jersey, or like what's something that makes you think of Jersey?
Wawa.
Wawa.
Every single time.
Me
I
too.
love Wawa. That's the best thing in the world, Wawa. When I graduate here, I got to bring a Wawa sometime back here. That's my goal, bring a Wawa to Syracuse.
What is the deal with the Wawa?
We'll
I
talk
know about it.
It's in my top 5. I have talking points.
We'll get to it
there.
then. Okay.
But
I'll say
I'm
this.
gonna-
Is it like the Wegmans of that area? Like, I know it's not like a grocery store. It's like a convenience store, but
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
people, do they have that much pride in it, I guess, is what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, I'll defend Wegmans
Yes.
to the death. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
I'm gonna hold him to that if that he brings a Wawa up here. He needs to like franchise. Like he better be making enough money off of NIL or a pro career that he
Yeah.
franchises a Wawa and gets it to Syracuse.
Well, think how many Jersey kids go to SU. Put a Wawa on the campus at Syracuse. Like,
No, people
it
would
just-
go insane.
They would. Think you got a business idea going here. That's pretty good. See, these kids, they're doing more than football. They're thinking, right? Just a couple more names here. Jayden Gold, of course, in that secondary. He's from Somerset, Jersey. Brahim Long is somebody we're getting to know a little bit. Camden guy, transfers in. I mean, there's a theme developing here. And every name I've said so far, and there's a couple more to round out the list. You have Jahid Lassane, who is a new member of this team from Newark. Max Runyon, who is a backup tight end. He's from Saddle River. And the long snapper, Tom Callahan. Great name, by the way. Tommy Callahan. He's from Roseland, New Jersey, right? That's an important role. He doesn't get the attention that he deserves as a long snapper. You only get attention at that position, frankly, when you screw up. But almost every name we said, Emily, they're either stars, they play key roles, or they're names you're going to hear over and over again out there on the field this year. New Jersey is going to have a huge impact on this football team.
And there's even more coming. Like there's more true freshmen that are from Jersey that haven't arrived at practice yet and on campus, like Emmanuel Ross. He's a Jersey guy. He's the one that SU flipped from Stanford as a commit. The 2025 class already has a couple Jersey guys in it. Like there might be a point where like this roster becomes primarily from like New Jersey, like predominantly New Jersey products, which would be crazy. But I mean, you hear how highly all of these guys talk about New Jersey as a football state, like, and just the competition and the talent level and all of that. Like it's clearly, they're very prideful in it. And I think we all understand why.
Right. And it comes full circle. Like when Fran Brown took over, he discussed knowing Paul Pasqualoni, having coached with George DeLeon. George DeLeon and Paul Pasqualoni were royalty in that state. And the connection you have to make with the high school coaches. Nunzio Campanelli being on this staff, that connection, he knows all those coaches. And there's something about like, you almost have to be in a club. You kind of have to, it's hard to break through. Now, I'm not excusing what prior coaches did or didn't do here, but it must be harder for, a Dino Babers walking in cold or a Doug Marone walking in cold. He's from the Bronx, so he's got a little bit of a connection there. But like when Greg Robinson took over for Paul Pasqualoni and the different worlds that was, like that's a club you've got to work your way into, right? Pasqualoni and DeLeon, man, it was one of those things. They'd walk in any high school in New Jersey and they would bring donuts and they were welcomed with open arms. Oh yeah, go on back there, coach, as opposed to like, oh yes, and who are you here to see? Like there's a big difference. There's a comfort level there. And I remember, Emily, when College Game Day came to Syracuse in 2008 to do a story that you never want to see about your football program and how it's crumbling apart, right? This is in the last year of the Greg Robinson era. And I was interviewed for that, and the clip is still up there. And one of the main points that I made that College Game Day feature on Syracuse was New Jersey got its act together. Greg Schiano and Connecticut and other Big East programs came into the state and bumped Syracuse out. And they never, I shouldn't say never, they're now starting to recover from that. But it took a long time for Syracuse to make an impact in that state. Because as we said, Schiano came in and got the Rutgers guys to stay home. Rutgers was terrible for so long, but now the momentum is clearly shifting back here. And look, Penn State goes into Jersey and Pittsburgh goes into Jersey and all the Northeast schools. It's not like Syracuse is the only school that's trying to mine talent from that state, but the gains that they have made there have been huge. They've been noticeable and they've been immediate. And it could be one of the key ingredients to Syracuse football's turnaround, as we've been talking about here.
Totally. I totally agree.
All right, let's see if we agree on any of these. We're going to have a little fun here to end this New Jersey edition of the podcast. And Emily and I are going to give our top 5 things that we like about New Jersey. Top 5 things to come out of Jersey, just our top 5 Jersey things, okay? I'll start. Number 5.
Okay, yeah, we'll run 5 up.
We'll go 5 up. Yep.
Okay.
5. We'll count down from 5. My number 5, Old Blue Eyes, the chairman of the board, Frank Sinatra.
He almost made my list.
Fly me to the moon. From Hoboken. I mean, Frankie, come on. Even though I'm a Red Sox fan and New York is like the Yankees song, and that is what it is, he's freaking Sinatra. I mean, just timeless legend. And so many people from Jersey take so much pride in the fact that Frank Sinatra is a Jersey guy. Let's go. Old Blue Eyes. What's your number 5?
I was going to say, Frank was just off my list. He did make my short list and then ultimately did not make it. My number 5, this is pandering a little to the audience we're speaking to, is college football, because 1869, first college football game, Rutgers, and now Princeton. It was then known as the College of New Jersey, but birth of college football happened in New Jersey.
Great choice.
I think not.
Great choice.
Just felt like that had to go on one of our lists. Like,
that is one of those things, like, you tell somebody that, they're like, what? Like, if I had asked,
right.
if I asked my mother, where was college football's first game? She's not going to say New Jersey. Like, you think in the South, or you think of just these traditional football, Texas or football areas, right? No, it was New Jersey. Mm-hmm. That's a lovely accent you have. New Jersey? That did not make my list, but that's a fantastic line. Number 4, we brought it up earlier, Emily. You can't pump your own gas. It's one of those things. I drove, where did we drive last summer when we were going to Jersey? I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's one of those things. You're driving, got to get gas. Didn't even think about it. Got out of the car and immediately was like, oh yeah, that. You can't pump your own gas in this state. Mm-hmm. And they take a lot of pride in that, by the way. And
right.
A lot of the kids that come to Syracuse, they got to get out of their car when it's 10 degrees out in the middle of winter and pump their own gas. They're spoiled. They're not very happy that that's the case. And if I'm not is that the only state in the country where that's a law? I think I might be right about that. It's like, it's literally, you cannot do it.
At this point, it is Oregon for a while. For a long time, it was the 2 of them. And then Oregon, within like the last 5 to 10 years, was finally like, no, you're going to pump your own gas. So now it's only New Jersey, I think. So incredible. I don't think they'll ever give it up, because it's their thing. It has its pros. It has its pros for sure.
What's your number 4?
My number 4, this might have been higher, except I don't know if like this legitimately came from New Jersey or just like now it's become synonymous but isn't actually from there. But bagels, like just a good, especially like a good breakfast bagel sandwich, like some Taylor ham, which is a New Jersey thing. Or like, I know like putting ketchup on your bagel sandwich in the morning is a New Jersey thing. I don't know that I would do that. But I don't mind some Taylor ham. I've tried Taylor ham before, but like, I will say, coming from the West Coast, while there are a lot of foods I miss, like good Mexican food, I did not know bagels until I got to the East Coast, and that's fair. Phenomenal. Now I think
there'd be a battle between New York City and New Jersey, but bagel sandwiches, bagels, definitely a Jersey thing. Like people love
the region.
Yes, love their bagels in New Jersey. By the way, Tommy DeVito, I think I take a lot of pride in this. I don't know if he made your list or not, but I once told Tommy DeVito where he could find a Taylor ham bagel sandwich.
Oh, wow.
In Syracuse, New York. And it was as if I gave him like the keys to Fort Knox. He was so happy.
They
that
have
I
them.
directed.
Where do they have them?
So there's a couple places.
Okay.
Water Street Bagels downtown has
That's
one.
what I thought.
Shout out to them. And DeWitt Bagel.
Oh, okay.
DeWitt Bagels, next to the famous Mario and Salvo's in DeWitt. There you go, kids. If you want to get your
Good to
Taylor
know.
ham breakfast sandwich. There's not a lot of them around here. Whereas in Jersey, you can find them on every corner.
Mm-hmm.
My number 3, the greatest television show of all time, The Sopranos.
Oh.
Tony Soprano, particular, but the whole Jersey thing, the family, the modern mob boss. And what I love about this, I mean, The Sopranos is just an amazing TV show that I've probably watched 3 times through. You know what's fun is it's what you can't do these days because it's so scattered. Like I'm watching The Americans right now, which is a great show. It's like 10 years old, right?
Yeah.
Back in my day, Emily, like you watched a show when it came on.
Mm-hmm.
And I took so much pride in the fact that I watched The Sopranos from day one, right?
Wow.
And I knew from day one how good it was. And it was word of mouth. Like even the internet wasn't really as prevalent as it was in the late 90s. When that show was booming, it was just you told your friends how good this show was. And it was groundbreaking television. It changed TV forever. Still my favorite show of all time. And fun fact, so the opening sequence where Tony drives home, there's a graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother is buried in that graveyard.
Oh
My
my
grandmother,
God, really?
born and raised, bred North Jersey. She's buried in that graveyard. I have stood in
Wow.
that graveyard before. Absolutely. Been in those
So,
neighborhoods. that they
Essentially, your family is in The Sopranos. That's what you should be saying.
Yes. Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying.
I actually have never seen The Sopranos.
You need to fix that.
I know. It's on
need
my
to fix
list.
that.
It's on my list, and I do think I would really enjoy it.
You
my
would.
brother watched it in the past year, and he's like, "You need to watch this." I mean, I loved Succession, which not quite the same, but like a family drama type situation. But I just never have yet.
That's a summer project for you.
Okay.
You got to see The Sopranos.
I'll get on it soon. My number 3, similar to Fadil Diggs, or exactly the same as Fadil Diggs, is The Shore. It was the first beach I went to on the East Coast, really, or the Northeast, in the Northeast. And being from the West Coast, which granted Washington's beaches are a lot different than the rest of the West Coast and then over here. But being from the West Coast and then going to college in a landlocked state, it has been nice to be back closer to the ocean again. And so The Shore, it's got to be on the list.
Despite the sunburn.
Despite the sunburn.
It makes the list. All right, my number 2, this guy right here, Bruce Springsteen.
Ooh,
Easy choice.
go
Look,
Bruce.
you got Old Blue Eyes, Bon Jovi, Jersey, but nothing's more Jersey than Bruce, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got into Bruce late, believe it or not. Despite the story I'm about to tell here shortly, I didn't really get into Bruce until probably my late teens. My mom, who I'm about to talk about, she's my number 1, by the way. I'm going to give it away. Even though she's from Jersey, wasn't like a huge Springsteen fan growing up. And music like wasn't a huge deal in my house. Like I kind of got into music on my own and found other ways to get into Springsteen. So, but then it all came full circle afterwards. And I'm obsessed. I have been since then, and counting the days till April 18th when Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band rocked the JMA Wireless Dome. And
Right.
giddy up, man. It's the soundtrack of my life. Even though I'm not from Jersey, I have connections there. But I mean, Bruce, what more do I have to say? What's more Jersey than that?
You're right. And I knew you were going to have him on your list. And while I do listen to him occasionally, I'm not like a super fan by any means. But I enjoy his music, and I knew we were going to talk about him.
But can I say this to Emily? You're a sports writer. You'll appreciate this. I cannot stand that it's like a Twitter thing. Like all the sports writers love Bruce Springsteen. It's like,
is it
no.
true though?
No, a lot of people from a lot of walks of life love Bruce Springsteen. There just happen to be a lot of sports writers in your Twitter feed. That drives me nuts. God.
That was not what I was expecting you to say right
Oh,
there.
it drives me crazy. It's like, you know how many different occupations are obsessed with Bruce Springsteen? You're a sports fan, so you follow a lot of sports writers. That just happens to be the case. Anyway, what's your number 2?
It's also a musical act and is my only like real lifelong tie to Jersey, which I had kind of forgotten that these people were from New Jersey until I was fact checking and doing some organizing of my top 5. My musical Jersey act is the Jonas Brothers. The Jonas Brothers. The Jonas Brothers are from New Jersey, from Wyckoff, New Jersey. They were born in Wyckoff, and then I think they moved somewhere else in the state. But lifelong Jonas Brothers fan. I could sing you their entire discography. I went to my first ever Jonas Brothers concert in late November. That night that we were piecing together that Fran was becoming the head coach, I was at the Jonas Brothers concert, and so I'm on Teams, and I'm on Teams, and I'm like, of course this is happening right now, and it was in Buffalo. So then I leave the concert, and you guys are still up. This is at like 11:30 at night, and I'm like, well, I'm driving, but like if anything happens.
Having the time of your life with the Jonas Brothers.
Drove back, and all of us the next morning were like, I guess Fran's the head coach now.
Let's go. Let's go. I didn't know they were Jersey guys.
I know.
Well, remember when Dino Babers got a commitment from Tommy DeVito, he was at the show Jersey Boys.
Oh, really?
Which did not make my list. There's another great Jersey reference. We're gonna miss a bunch of things here, but all right. Number 1.
Do you want me to go first? Oh, you're gonna go.
I'm going to go. My mom's from Jersey. So shout out to my mom. Now, I have a lot of family from Jersey. My mother had several brothers and sisters, grew up in Toms River, so my mother's family actually ran a motel on the Jersey Shore.
Oh, wow.
So just thinking about Jersey and the family that I still have there, having visited there a number of times, how much she talks about Jersey and the stories. So here's one right here. So Bruce Springsteen. This is before he's Bruce Springsteen, right? Up and coming musician, the Stone Pony, the famous stories of where he played. My mother's at the Stone Pony with some friends. And the bartender comes over and says, "That gentleman over there would like to buy you a drink." And she looks over and she says, "No, thanks." Do you know who that gentleman was?
No way.
This guy right here.
Wow.
Bruce Springsteen tried to buy my mother a drink, and she said no.
No. Oh.
And I quote, "He was too scruffy looking."
Okay.
So in another universe somewhere, Emily, I am the son of a rock star.
Wow.
But in this one, he was too scruffy looking. So as my mother tells the story, this was late 60s, early 70s. Have you ever seen the movie Grease?
Yes.
You know, like Travolta and those guys and the leather jackets and everything. And they would kind of like, I think they were called greasers. And they would roll up their cigarettes in their shirt, you know, kind of thing. But then there was the Surfer Boys. And my mother was more into like the Beach Boys and the Surfer Boys. And so, yeah. Good old Bruce. I don't know. I've gone through his lyrics, like looking for like clues about that woman that rejected him at the Stone Pony. I haven't found anything yet.
You haven't found anything.
But there you go. Shout out to Mom, who's all Jersey all the time. We love her.
That's incredible. My number 1, and I would have had this as my answer as instantaneously as Denis did. It's Wawa. Wawa. I cannot say enough of. I think about Wawa so often.
Really?
Which is so funny because like it's not anything special when you get to the root of it. It is just a gas station that serves food and like makes sandwiches, but like makes hoagies.
Hoagies, right.
Hoagies. But my first Wawa experience, and maybe this is why I like romanticize it so much, was during what they call Hoagie Fest in July. I don't know. I just can't even like fully put it into words. I have always like liked a good sandwich. Like I think sandwiches are like underrated overall in like the food sphere. And especially like most of the time when I end up getting Wawa, it's like driving to or from Jersey and easy to eat in the car. It's all wrapped up for you. I don't know. It's just a good sandwich and it's good on the road and Wawa. Good
Wawa.
hoagies. Good hoagies. I did ask Denis what his favorite was, like what his order was, and he said a meatball sub, which was a little interesting to me. And he kind of admitted, he was like, it's not a hoagie, it's a meatball sub. And I was like, okay. Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
love a
I'm sure
hoagie.
I've been to Wawa, having been to Jersey so many times. I just have not taken a liking to it as you have and others have. But it is funny, though, the regional pride. Like, it's
Right.
Wegmans up here. It's Wawa there. Man, what's the one in the South that people rave about?
Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's, right? Is there one?
I've never been to a Buc-ee's.
Is there one where you're from that people obsess about?
Mm,
Doesn't sound like it.
no. I mean,
7-Eleven? Do you guys have those out? I don't
we
even
do
know.
have 7-Eleven, but we don't have the regional pride in that. I mean, the regional pride would be like Starbucks, but also like you can find better coffee in Seattle than Starbucks as well. So like if you're a long time Seattleite, like you're only recommending Starbucks in Seattle to people if they're tourists and you're like, oh yeah, you should go check
go
out the
there
very first,
so we can
the
drink the good
the
coffee.
very
Yeah.
first Starbucks. Yeah, but no, we don't have anything quite like that, but it's certainly a thing in the South and then out here in the Northeast. It's that very intense regional pride over mostly gas stations. Like there's a lot of gas stations that people are prideful in
Weird.
for whatever
Weird.
reason.
So I'm sure we missed a bunch. You guys let us know what we missed. Atlantic City. I love the movie Clerks. I love Kevin Smith. He's a big Jersey guy, right? I'm going to think of like 10 more things when we stop recording that we didn't get there. So you guys let us know, especially our Syracuse Sports Insider. Shout out to them for your great questions and comments and the things that you want Emily and I to look out for at Syracuse football practice. Become a Syracuse Sports Insider today by texting the word orange to 315-847-3895. Well, there you have it, folks. That's our Jersey show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all of our great feedback. Once again, from our Syracuse Sports Insiders. And thanks to Crouse Health, the exclusive healthcare partner of SU Athletics and our sponsor here on Syracuse Sports. Well, Emily, this highway's jammed with broken heroes on a last chance power drive, so we got to get out of here. We'll talk to you next time, guys.